Welcome back to the Coaching Life Podcast. I'm Pat Martin, here with my friend, Coach Chris Stewart. How you doing today, Coach?
Doing well, Coach.
Good.
Yep. It's
How are you feeling?
a gray day out there, isn't it?
How are you feeling, Coach?
After standing in the rain last night? I did stand in the rain for one half of football.
I saw your
Bobcats got a nice win.
your post, not your.
See that little video?
You don't do Snapchat. You do what? Was that on Facebook?
Instagram?
Insta.
The story?
Beautiful, beautiful day.
Oh, yeah.
It's pouring down
Oh,
there.
yeah. It probably did go to Facebook because I posted on Instagram, but then it gets...
I saw it somewhere. I'm not sure.
Everything's linked now, it seems like.
It was pouring down the rain all night during.
It was.
the
It was. Yeah.
game last night.
Felt a lot better for the Bobcats, though, because they got the win. Still hanging on to hope of being in the MAC championships. That's
Yep.
hopefully things will shake out.
They're really the only thing they have to do is worry about themselves
Yeah.
and win.
Yeah.
Finish, get 2 wins.
Win the rest of them. Yeah. Got one left. So. Day after Thanksgiving at Buffalo.
I guess that's
Noon game.
a decent segue into what we think we're going to talk about today.
What are we talking about today?
Well, I don't know yet. Let's see how the next couple seconds.
We had a
go.
couple different topics.
What do you think the because
Ideas.
Ohio University right now is in a situation where obviously one of the best teams in the MAC, and they need a couple things to go their way in order to make it to the MAC championship. But at the same time, they have to make sure they handle their business. We hear that in the sports world a lot, and concern themselves with what they can control.
Yeah.
And win their next 2 games. What do you think the morale of the team is right now? Like what's their in general? How are the guys feeling about where they're at in the season?
Oh, they're good. I mean, the guys are all talking about the possibilities. They all read the same social media posts that we do and see all the scenarios, breakdowns of these are the number of teams that are tied and this is the percentage chance that you have to get in, and this is who has to beat who, and and all the different craziness that is Mid-American Conference football. But they also, they're professionals.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
they know that I can't go back and redo a game that we should have won. You feel like you should have won. Mm-hmm. I think Ball State ended up being better than what people thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. The Western game was just a tough game. It's tough. I think if we played them again, I'd love to see them again in the MAC championship because I think we were right there with them. But their defense was good. It was hard to move the ball.
Yeah, it was just a good football
Yeah,
game.
yeah. But yeah, I think they know we just got to win, right? They did last night. Now we've got one more game left. Got to win that one, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
it might be a situation where they're waiting still because they play on Friday after Thanksgiving, and Toledo and Central Michigan play Saturday. I think that's right. I think that's the last game that they would be waiting on, or maybe it's Ball State.
Toledo or
That's not
Central
right.
Michigan plays Toledo last game of the season, I think.
Oh, that is it then.
Is that right?
Yeah, so that would be the Saturday. I think, and I do think they play on Saturday after Thanksgiving, and so that would be that game. Depending on what happens with Central Michigan and Toledo's games this week, Central plays tonight, the day that we're recording this, against I think Kent State, and then Toledo plays Ball State this week.
You got it.
The best scenario for a Bobcats fan would be that they both lose to somebody else. That if they both lose another game, then we're in as long as we win. So that's the best scenario. It's hard. It'll make your head explode to try to think through all. It's crazy. Just a few days ago there were 6 teams potentially tied, and then Ball State loses, so it became 5 teams, and maybe 5 and then 4 because Western beat us, and so that put them on top. So.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
I know it'd be easy of course, I think you hear it mostly in professional sports. It's odd that we don't. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's a conversation that has come up a lot in the past with college football. But maybe it has, and I just haven't been in tune with it. It's more college football is more about those. It has always been about the top 2 teams or the top 4 teams, or who's able to get in, and it's always a subjective conversation.
Right.
But in this case, we're talking about records and tiebreakers.
True.
And you either fit or you don't. So it's a little different. But I think it would be easy, to being in that situation to kind of feel, I don't know. Pity, feel bad about the situation.
Feel sorry for yourself a little bit. Yeah. Like we're having a great season. Yeah, we slipped up, but you, we deserve to be there type of thing.
Yeah, and then being able to continue.
We see that every year in college football, don't we? Teams back when there was only 4 teams getting into the playoffs, or the last 2 teams that are looking in, from the outside. Maybe they went undefeated and they weren't one of the last 2. It's like, well, what do we got to do, right?
Yeah. But even then, there's like a built-in. We're going to show them why they shouldn't have left us out in the bowl game that we get.
Yeah, the bowl game,
500 bowl games that we play. But I don't know. I just trying to tap into the idea of an athlete's mind, and when they face challenge, and I know that at the baseball clinic last year, the state clinic. There was an entire session. I know a lot of going into this session and hearing some of the conversation that's happening. A lot of the baseball coaches that were standing around were kind of groaning and rolling their eyes, but it was about the idea of coaching millennials.
Yeah, the different dynamics that are involved with coaching.
Right. So like coaching.
Well, Gen Z now is who we're coaching.
Gen Z, yes. I'm sorry. You're right. I'm a millennial. Gen Z, yeah.
I think you're still on the
81.
You're old enough to be Gen X, aren't you?
Heck, I don't know.
I think I mentioned this last
week.
What's like 83 or 84, right around
I'm
there.
81.
Yeah, you're Gen X.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
But they, you got to put kid gloves on and handle it a certain way, and I'm not going to do that.
They're a little softer.
That's not
a little softer,
right?
Yeah,
right. And
I mean that's the mindset that they're soft. Right?
Well, it's
saying
mindset
they are
by some,
but they are. Yeah, the mindset is we got a soft generation here, soft kids, soft athletes.
And then there's also the alternative of that is they're cognizant or they're aware, and we talk about
are those synonymous things.
Or do they neither exist? It's just the way reality is.
Being open about your feelings, or being open about how you feel about something, or aware and wanting to talk about it, I guess. Does that equate being soft?
Yeah. I think we're in a transition period right now. I think a lot of people would say yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That does make them, if you're we're consumed with that.
We're in a coaching transition period where coaches who believe that are going to be phasing themselves out because they don't know how to coach a player that leans into that a little bit, leans into the emotional
side. Because I think there's also people that believe the opposite, that it has nothing to do with mental toughness or who they are, their character, or anything like that. At a certain level, it's actually more responsible and smart to consider where they are at mentally, to consider their mental health, because we talk about
because of the consequences if you don't.
Absolutely, yeah. And
man, this is a different kind of topic for us, but it's a good one because we talk a lot about how games change physically. Rules change, the way that the game is played changes, the strength of the player has changed the game, the athleticism, and how that, what kind of impact that has. Last week, Coach Corbin mentioned, or Nick Detweiler mentioned, he was listening, he heard us talking about how the arms in the outfield play is just not as good anymore. It seems like from what it used to be back in the day, because now we just want hitters out there. We don't care what kind of defense they play. So we talk about all those things, but in the same way, the game, when I say the game, whatever sport it is that you're thinking about when we're talking here, has changed emotionally.
Yes.
As well.
Yeah.
Because the people that are playing those games are in a different place.
Right.
Yeah.
For whatever reason that is.
Different headspace.
And it's
different personality.
The things that we're experiencing in life, the conveniences that we have, our lifestyles, it dictates kind of where we fall on that line of what we're thinking, what's going on in our brain. And there's nothing, as a coach, we can't control those things. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want to say. How do we fix that? How do we stop that and go back to the way things used to be? But we're not going to.
We're not going to.
That's not where we are. That's
right.
Not the way life works.
And you can say, well, if I was the coach, or if I'm never going to be the coach that goes easy on those guys, and they're gonna walk to a certain beat. But as a coach, your primary responsibility is to get the most out of your players.
Yeah.
And it's just fact that if you're not going to get the best out of every player if you coach every player the same way.
It's true. It may have been fact years ago. May have been. I don't know.
Or you'd had enough players that fit that mold
that
it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
And then maybe these players that didn't fit that mold were problem players or whatever they were. Or maybe they were at that time probably seen as weaker or just odd and didn't fit. Weren't team play, whatever it was. They weren't the same type of person, and so they
kept to themselves because they weren't as open about it.
Or they weren't used. They didn't make the teams, whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a fascinating thing. You said something there a second ago too. Like you said, I'm not going to be easy on them or whatever, easy on them. Like, so, because part of me says, well, you can't just be easy. Part of me says there's got to be accountability. Yes. There has to, yes, we're coaching a different generation of player that approaches challenges differently than what maybe you and I approach them. It's hard to describe even what it is. It's hard to describe this, isn't it? Like this kind of person, because it's not. I don't believe it's soft, but that's the perception from an old school guy, right? That this generation's soft. But I don't think it's soft per se. There is some softness.
Sure.
I shouldn't dismiss it altogether. There is some softness. But to generalize and say this entire generation is, I don't agree with that. They're different. It's different. It's a different player, different type of. Maybe one way to put it is there's a lot more individualism. Because when we're talking about somebody leaning into their feelings a little bit more, well, what is it that they're feeling usually? How this is in fact impacting me? How these decisions that coaches made impacts me, and what's going to happen to me next, and everything that I do think we're living in a world that is much more individualistic today, and a lot of it's because of this right here, right?
I think so.
I really do believe so. Yeah, because
you old coot, you think
because we're the old coot. Yeah, because all of us have our own profile. We have our own social media. We have our own, and we're spending time posting about things that I am doing. Everybody look at me, right? Look at what I ate last night. Look at what ball game I'm at tonight. That was me last night, right? Whether you're doing it for people to see it and say, "Oh, that's so cool that that you got to do that," or not, there's still a little something in the back of your mind that goes back, and you see, 19 people have liked that already.
Well, and it's encouraged by the likes and the views.
Yeah,
and,
And
some people are actually tying their identity to this.
Yeah, and that's the point. So now your identity is in things that revolve around you, and there's less of a concern or focus on, well, because this isn't unique to high school kids. I talk to a lot of college players now too, and they have the same concerns, right? Like, am I going to get to play tonight, this week? Am I, how does this guy being hurt impact my role in the team? And, this is what coach said, I might be able to do this, and I hear that, even from college athletes, they have the same thoughts and concerns, and when something doesn't go well, it's in the game that they're playing, it impacts them, right? And so they come to the chaplain, pray that I get in the game, or pray that I, or whatever. And I just have to listen to that and care for their feelings, but remind them that, hey, look, I'm a coach too, and I'm telling you something right now, buddy. The decisions they are making are not personal. It is, and sometimes it sounds cold and feels cold to think about this and to hear somebody say it. They aren't thinking about you when they're making those decisions. They're thinking about, is this going to help the team win?
Yeah.
And it's just not, everything is taken personally today. That's one of the biggest differences, I think, is because so maybe it's something to do with that individualism, that everything that happens, how is this affecting me? How is this affecting me? Everything is taken personally.
Well, I think we've drifted from the mentality of, or at least we're losing it, or it's under attack. The idea of community, and serving a greater cause.
Yeah.
And that's,
yeah, for sure.
That's right. I mean, I think I said this a month or so ago, a couple months ago. I mean, I understand as a parent sitting in the stands, I want to see my kid play.
Right.
Jeremiah got significant playing time the first half of the season in football this year. It was fun. But I think we went 1-4.
While he was out there?
Yeah. Second half of the season, he didn't play nearly as much.
So the coaches were trying to make some adjustments to see if something else would work?
And some guys, there were some injuries early. So
yeah.
I'm like, as a role player.
So he got to play because of some injuries.
He stepped in and filled a role, and it's like, it's good. So but the second half season, I think we were the 2-3 and 3-2. We were 1-4 and 4-1. But as a parent, it's not as fun. You're watching he's getting in on special teams and making plays. He gets in every once in a while, but it's not as fun. So there's like disappointment, and you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I don't like this.
Yeah.
But the team's winning. And it's working out. So you got there's happiness. And I think we struggle as a society now to find that joy in which that's not joy. It's
when others are successful, even though you might not be contributing to that success.
Sure, and again,
directly contributing,
understanding what the role is and how they're how are they performing, not how much playing time they're getting, not what individual statistics they're accruing, and for the box score at the end of the game, but how are they performing in their role?
Yeah.
And
how was Jeremiah, if you don't mind me asking, if you don't mind saying, what was his mindset during the second half of the season when he wasn't playing as much?
I was very proud of him. When he was on he wants to play.
Yeah, everybody does. You wouldn't be on the team probably if you didn't want to play.
He maintained a great attitude during the games, but
so his confidence wasn't crushed because he wasn't playing.
No, but I'll tell you this too. something that I know that I don't. He would. There might be a disagreement over it at home later, but
from him or
there is a group of guys from him.
Your wife?
No, okay. Not from my wife.
We've done our best to leave.
We're gonna edit that part out. No, not from Chastity, but there's a group of guys on that football team that Maya loves.
Yeah,
and they love him, and they play for each other.
Yep.
Which is speaking to, that's kind of what we're talking about here is, having that relationship and like he that second half of the season, he wasn't playing, but he was serving those guys, and he was there, for them, and we don't celebrate that enough.
No,
we don't think in our society anymore, and that's part of the problem we have. That's why we have, the thoughts that we do about individualism and things like that, because it's not a great thing to go out and to be. Yeah. Again, to be a part of something that's that's bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
So, but it's tied to those relationships.
Yeah.
How does that matter? No, probably not. I mean, it doesn't matter because we are where we are. Again, if we could change it, we could change it. We can't. It is what it is. So how to respond to it is the trickiness. And I've my 4 years so far as a high school baseball coach, first of all, it's very different than coaching the youth.
Oh, yeah.
Very different.
In many ways.
Yes. I've had, I would say, very different team personalities. Very different from the first year that I coached, transitioning to the last year. Even the last two where the core players were the same. Mm-hmm. The team personalities were different from one year to the next, and I think that was because you had a group of juniors as opposed to a group of seniors that dominated the starting roster, or, the rotational roster, however you want to say it. And so I put a lot of thought into how to handle these guys to get the most out of what do I need to do, and I think I would admit that I feel like over the last 2 seasons, I did not get the best out of them because my strategy was off. I think that there should have been more accountability.
Okay,
is the way to say it. And,
so you were too soft.
Yeah, yeah, and I thought it was necessary. But as looking back, and we all do this. At least I hope we do. As coaches, every year we go and we look back and look at
we should,
the way that we handled things. And I think I didn't give them enough credit for what they could actually handle.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. So now we're starting new. We have, we're going to have a young group this year. So now it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go scorched earth and go back to
full Augie Garrido on them day one? Just walk right in there and drop the hammer right.
But with Augie, and that's the thing too. You have to. Life has to be a focal point for coaches and for players. It really does, to understand. What are you going to get out of this? Because listen, it's probably not going to be money. It's probably not going to be fame. You're probably not going to play professional sports.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. And so what are you really playing for? At the end of the day, what are you playing for? And we need to do a better job about that, about tying ourselves.
Yeah. The big line in that huge tirade that he went off on was, "This is not about baseball. this is life,
right?
You know,
Which I think
with
he was
about 4 F words in that sentence.
He was talking about
itself.
getting picked off first base.
Yeah, he was talking about a kid getting, or, you know, not being able to put a bat on a ball with 2 outs. You know, 2 out hitting, and you know, getting picked off. How do we get picked off first base?
Right.
I have failed you.
Right.
You know?
So, like, you know, going back to me and like the last 2 seasons, I feel like there was times when, you know, I did not allow the situation to prepare our guys for a what they're going to experience in life. You know, you can't, because there's not going to be someone there to protect you from what the truth is. And so I think, you know, when we talk about players being soft and you know, their mental state and things like that, when we think about how do we relay messages to them.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think there are layers to this that we need to think about, you know, we're talking about too, because you got the older generations were taught to suck it up, right? Just suck it up.
Sure.
You know, which means don't whine about it. Just do it. I don't need to hear your problems, right? Just be better. That kind of, and I feel that, I get that, right? Because sometimes I just want to say that myself, like, look, just do better.
Yeah.
Don't you stop telling me all the things, all the reasons why this and all that. Just suck it up, right? Whereas very few athletes today are of that personality. Mm-hmm. It's more of, okay, they're encouraged to express pressure and anxiety and stress, and so what happens is we've got to figure out, okay, what are the strengths and the weaknesses to both approaches, right? Mm-hmm. Because there are strengths in both approaches, and for an old school person saying just suck it up, let me ask you a question: is expressing struggle weakness? Is that soft, or is expressing struggle actually a form of courage? Is that strong? You know, like, because you may have had a bunch of kids on your teams in 1950s who didn't express anything, and you're like, that's strong. Well, maybe not. Maybe they're just weak, because maybe they're over there in the corner sucking it up, and just doing what they're supposed to do, and they weren't actually getting better.
Maybe they were twice as good of an athlete that they
maybe
played.
They could have been a heck of a lot better.
Yeah,
but
I think I don't know. Is there ever a time? Well, I think you can relate the approach a little bit to this. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe everyone will be like, "What the heck are you talking about?"
Yeah, right.
How about this one? Is there ever a time to scream at your pitcher? Just throw strikes.
Is there ever a time to scream that?
Yeah.
Personally, I do not think that there is.
Ever.
Because I think that's an ignorant statement, right?
But
from anyone.
Hold on.
Whether it be a coach,
a
player in the dugout, a parent in the stand, a fan that doesn't have any relation to the team, it's an ignorant statement.
Right.
Because the kid is not trying to throw balls. We've talked about that before.
So what are you saying?
What are you saying? Right.
When you say it.
Right.
Right. And so.
Because he's feeling the same thing you are.
Suck it up.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
That's a very similar statement, isn't it?
What are you saying when you say suck it up?
Yeah.
And, maybe we need to be intentional about that.
Right.
What
do I mean by that?
I mean, there's obviously there's something to this, because, Brian, people like Brian Cain and Nate Trosky and these guys that talk about, controlling your mind and be able to focus.
Built an entire career around that specialization.
Yes, and it's not just, well, you need to focus. No. They have methods and techniques of, this is how you focus.
Here's a system for it.
Yes. Right. And, I think there's times when suck it up is still relevant. Maybe it's only for certain kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe. Yeah. There probably still will be kids on your team that will respond to that kind of coaching. Right?
I liked it.
But not all of them.
I remember Gene Wise. I don't know if you know Gene.
Yeah.
A lot of people do. Gene Wise was I think my first old school coach that I had the privilege of playing for. And I liked him, and I would give it back to him, which, that's another, like, some coaches hate that too. Like, we could talk about that. Like, do you want a player that's going to challenge you as a coach? And like, we have a great relationship, but I liked playing for him because he, I didn't really have time. I think I was one of those kids when I would play and I didn't succeed. I would pity myself a little bit, drop my head, and come off the field with not the same enthusiasm. But I didn't have time to do that with Coach because he'd already be there chewing on me. You do better than this, and I responded to that better. But I was at the same time, even as a young kid, I was aware that there are other people that can stand him, can stand his coaching style. And we joke that Gene wouldn't be able to coach in today's environment because
there are a lot of coaches that are getting out of it for that very reason. There are a lot of people who can't. Right. Wouldn't have a team,
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. When you and I go to the baseball clinic, it looks different today, doesn't it? It's younger.
Yeah.
You look around, like I'm one of the old guys.
Yeah.
Now, there's still there's still a few relics there, but Coach Noble, which I know he listens to us sometimes, so I might be in trouble for saying that. But no, I mean, Coach Noble, he was coaching when Gibby was, right? He's not as old as Gibby, but that's going back a few generations of coaching.
Though, I guess we're kind of getting off on a tangent. There's an energy level that you have to be a coach, I think, and I feel like Coach Noble he drips that.
Oh, he does. It doesn't. Yeah, age is not a factor.
Yeah,
absolutely. But there are people who have the old. But he's a compassionate guy too. He understands.
Yeah.
And part of what he does for a living, also, he's a director of the Pike County Board of Developmental Disabilities, I believe, or he was. I don't know. He might be retired now, but that requires a lot of patience. And understanding of things that other people don't understand, right? People with intellectual disabilities and such, right? And so it's you bring that, you come to a team and the kid's dealing with something and they want, or they're expressing something that a lot of people may not understand or have patience for. A person like that it makes sense why he would have longevity in this, and be able to coach multiple generations, because I think it lends itself to that kind of a mindset, the job that he's had, and
sure,
it's different for somebody who works at a power plant and you don't have room to feel sorry for yourself, because guys are going to look at you and say, "Quit being a baby. Let's just go. It's not what we do here, right?"
Yeah,
and so it's So I don't know. Being like, some people we may have been listening for a while and we're like, what exactly are they talking about today? Because I'm not even sure I know what we're talking about.
Me neither.
But I think it's about the fact that here we are. We're in this, like you said, we're in this weird transition of, you've got coaches who've coached the old school player and maybe our old school coaches, but are also realizing that we are coached. People are different. Like, let me put it. Athletes are more transparent today than they were 30 years ago.
Sure. Well,
more about their lives today than you did back then, maybe. I don't know if that's the right word or not.
Well, I don't know what it is about life now, and it's probably things we eat and the way we take care of our bodies and the things we see on TV. But depression and anxiety is a much bigger factor. It's a much bigger talking point in the world today than I would say what it was 50 years ago.
And does that mean it didn't exist 50 years ago, or does that mean that we're just talking about it more? See, I think that's what we're coaching people that live in this society. That we're, believe it or not, the sport that we coach is not the world's culture. It's just a sport.
Yeah.
They're growing up in a culture. They're growing up in a society where this is the norm, and then they're playing a sport. And you and I grew up in a different culture, a different society where there was a different norm, and we're expected to coach these kids in the culture that they're used to, and it is different. It is different, and we have to think through those kinds of things a little differently. And I think you would agree too. I don't think that there are things that like I said, there are positives and negatives to both. And I think there are things that we can bring into and introduce this culture to. And that becomes a beautiful thing, when you see a kid who, I think that's the whole, an example of this might be like the Admiral speech about making your bed, right? If it's normal for you to just not do that or even care about it, because why? What's the point? If you can get somebody to do it and they realize that there's a bigger point here, right? That's the first win of the day, and it does something to you mentally, emotionally, and that's an old school thing. But when you see a kid say, in today's culture, like, what's the big deal about that? But then they do it and they go, yeah, I feel differently because of that.
Yeah.
Then it's impacting them where they are.
Yeah, and that's you hear that a lot in regards to easy ways to manage depression and anxiety is do things like that. Clean your room.
Yeah.
Get things in order
because you're in control of those things. You do more things that you can 100% control.
Yeah, and maybe it does come down to the fact that 50 years ago kids had more responsibility, or maybe 80 years ago kids had more responsibility. I think everything goes in cycles, and but we're in the spot that we are now, and there's we can't we have to live in it. We have to we have to thrive in it. We have to figure out how to make it work. I think part of that is people talking about the way that they feel, even saying that, it kind of sounds kind of sissish. But I do. I would have said.
Did you say sissy-ish?
Yeah. The majority of my life, I would have said this for sure. I would have said, there is no such thing as anxiety and depression. I said that.
Yeah, I think I would have said it too.
And then I felt it.
Oh, there you go.
And I had no idea what it was, and I had to figure it out. And so it's like, okay, now what do you do? How do you handle it? And it's there, and now people, like one of the big talking or movements is we need to get men to talk about mental health. Like you see that on commercials and on the internet and things like that. Men need to talk about mental health because it's something that's talked down on. Like, in the past, you don't talk about that. You don't talk about your feelings. You don't talk about what's bothering you and things like that, because that was a norm. It didn't used to be.
Yeah.
But I think we were better prepared to handle it then, for whatever reason. For whatever reason it was, we were better prepared to handle it, and now we're just not. And there's probably a number of factors, number of reasons that we're not, but it doesn't matter. We're just not.
Yeah.
Some people are, but a lot of people aren't. And bottom line, that's going to impact the way that a kid performs on a Tuesday in April on a baseball field, or on a Friday in December on a basketball court. It will impact them in some way. And as coaches, if I know that there's going to my players are facing negative influences in some way, and I might be able to help that, I want to help that.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. The trick is, I think there's a threshold, and it's different from one person to the next. It's very difficult.
It is. That might be one of the biggest factors in this topic of conversation, and that is, we are in a day where you just cannot coach every player on your team exactly the same. And so part of our challenge as coaches is really becoming a chameleon in many ways, trying to figure out what's going to motivate and move this person as much as possible, make them to be the best they can be versus what this person responds to, and where you might have not even concerned yourself about that before. You really have to concern yourself about that today if you're going to be successful. Yeah, and it might be 16 different things that you've got to do. You've got different hats that you've got to wear, or you may need multiple people on your staff that can fulfill some of those things.
That's good.
Like honestly, I don't hunt. I think I would enjoy hunting if I did. It's just not something I was raised to do, right? And a lot of kids on my team hunt. And so you know what? I'm glad that we have coaches on our staff that hunt.
Yep.
And they can go hunting with, or they can, and things like that. And there are things that I remember hearing stories of Dave Boston Jr. up at Nelsonville, York, picking kids up at their house on Sunday afternoon, after a weekend, after Friday night football, and saying, let's go fishing. Let's go, and just knowing that kid doesn't have somebody to do that with them, and just teaching them something different, right? Yeah. Like I'm gonna give you a different life skill here, and that's an old school guy. Many people would say an old school coach, but that's a behind the scenes thing that maybe people didn't realize.
Yeah.
Coach Caldwell, same exact thing. Old school guy, old school coach, but one of the most caring people you ever meet. Loves poetry. It's his favorite literature, and would do anything for somebody. So it's not always the old school, new school thing isn't always as different as we think.
Yeah.
Have you ever listened to some of Nick Saban's speeches? Like, people talk about, Saban can't coach today's player, and so that's why he got out. I'm not convinced of that.
I'm jaded towards college coaches. I think I'm envious. I think college coaches have the huge advantage of going out and picking their players and saying these.
Well, they really do now.
I know that I can.
They did before, but
they do less now.
Well, that's true. It's players picking them now,
and they're leaving. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think that's why Nick Saban don't coach it anymore, is because he can't control that transfer portal, and he knows it's going to impact him. But
sure. Oh yeah, he's actually said that. I think the guys that are being successful in it are embracing a new way of understanding that if you're at a small mid-major, that you're only gonna, if you get a good one, you better squeeze as much out of him as you can in 1 year, because you know that you're going to need to replace him next year with somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's become, like, the first couple of years, I think it was shocking. First year especially, it's like we lost everybody. And then now it's just an expectation.
Yeah.
Right? It's just, okay, football team, we're probably going to need to replace 53 or 4 guys next year.
Yeah.
Especially if you do well. And if you don't do well, you're still gonna have to replace them, right? Because you need to find somebody that can get it done.
Yeah, and those guys are still gonna have. If you're a mid-major, they're gonna have offers.
Now, if you're in Ohio State and you've got a sophomore like Jeremiah Smith, who's getting paid pretty good money, and can't come out until after his junior year, but he can go somewhere else. But why would you? If you're at that level,
well, right.
And say
they kind of have the market cornered.
The quarterback saying's a sophomore, also. So they've
got a freshman, isn't he? He's freshman.
Is he really?
I think he can't. He's got to play next year.
Dang. Well, I know he's got to play next year.
Is Jeremiah?
Smith's
you have
to
play 3 years. Maybe he is only maybe he is a sophomore.
Yeah, but like if they weren't at the top, or even if they are at the top in some other schools, let's say Texas says, "Hey, Smith, I know you're getting $4 million at Ohio State, but we're going to give you $8 million. We'll double it." He's already going to be a high pick. Why not go make more money? That's there. And guess what? It's being voted on this week to start happening in high school in Ohio. Is it this week or next week?
I don't know.
That vote's coming up.
I didn't.
Quickly.
Have you read the NIL documentation?
No, I haven't. I don't think it's going to impact you and me very much at all.
Well, see, that's what everyone says, Coach.
Speaking of individualism, this is still part of the topic. We can go ahead and talk about this.
Yeah, I think it's a slippery slope. I think when you introduce it, and I'm not saying they could do anything about introducing it because they got sued. The HSA was sued because
they have to introduce. The courts basically said, you need to vote on this to control it. We're talking about taking control, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, the courts are going to. People are going to continue to bring you to court, and we're going to have to make this decision.
And I think they'll continue to bring the HSA to court.
Even still,
talked to some people that have read the document. I haven't yet. I'm hoping it goes away.
You're holding on to some false hope right there, my friend.
It's very structured, very specific.
Yes.
It's likeness and image, and you can't. It's not about going somewhere else and getting more money. You can't do that. It's just
a different high school.
Yes, it's just about the opportunities you have, where you're at, to profit from who you are.
Yeah,
which is a basic, fundamental human right.
And I'm already thinking of a scenario to question that.
Well, and the fact is, it was brought to that because a family sued the OHSAA because they weren't able to. Their son wasn't able to do that
in our state. Other states can.
Sure. And what my thought is, then they at some point the HSAA will be sued because a son or a daughter can't go to another school and profit. And at that point, now you're between a rock and a hard place.
They can transfer to another school now,
True.
even without profiting. So who's to say that let's say you've got a Joe Burrow type athlete that happens to show up at Meigs High School, and there aren't any businesses in Pomeroy or Middleport or Rutland that can afford to offer this kid, like a realistic situation travel-wise, like say Jackson High School, or Athens. Maybe there's a business person here in Athens that says, Dave Cornwell says, I'll give that kid $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll put your jersey up at Courtside Pizza down here. And
now
so,
if you don't.
So now, why would that kid not want to transfer to Athens then? Right. And get
the
that
only
money.
thing would be is if he's a senior, doesn't move, and falls within the transfer rules that we know now. Mm-hmm. That's I think that's what's going to come under attack next.
And right.
Now that concerned me, and I didn't realize 40 states, 41. Well,
I know already have
41.
It.
Yeah, already have that
because West Virginia just introduced it this year, right? Do you know anybody? Have you talked with anybody? We're close to the West Virginia border. We have friends that live that are coaching in high school over there.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anybody making money yet.
But
West Virginia's transfer law, the transfer rules are a little less stringent than Ohio's.
Really?
I don't believe that. I think you can go anywhere you want in West Virginia, like once maybe.
I was talking with some guys on the baseball team here this past weekend, and we were talking about this very topic, and they're from California, and he said he was confused when I gave him the scenario of a kid. If I lose a kid to a different school district, if they transfer because of this, it's gonna be tough. That's gonna be tough to swallow, right?
Yeah.
If I live in a community that just can't afford to pay him what some other community can, and he decides to go to school there, that's a Nick Saban moment for me. I'm done, right? If that happens, if you can't keep somebody, but I don't think that's you'd have to have a really top D1 prospect, pro prospect kid, I would assume, to have that kind of money offered. But anyway, I digress. He was looking confused when I was talking about transferring, and because I'm like, yeah, kids can transfer now, and it used to be that you'd have to sit out the first half of your games of the sport that you play. Now it's the second half, so it's a little bit harder because that's includes the tournament. And he went, wait a minute. So you're saying that kids in Ohio can just transfer schools wherever they want? And how do they do that? I said, open enrollment. And he went, what's that? I said, it's living in one school district, and instead of enrolling in the district that you live in, you enroll in a different district, and that's open enrollment. And he said, we weren't allowed to do that.
And where was he from?
California.
Yeah.
It may have been Arizona, the guy from Arizona. But it was confusing because he said, we're just not allowed to do that.
Well, he may have been. I mean, I think it's up to the school district to allow open enrollment.
So maybe it was the school or the league or the region, or I don't know that.
But I would assume he would have seen it happen.
Because I've heard of kids. Well, we have a quarterback here on our roster at OU who didn't play his senior year because of transfer. Didn't play his senior year of high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's good enough to be recruited to play Division I football.
His whole senior year?
Yeah. Could not play.
That's the rule.
Because of that. Because
he
transferred.
State? I mean, he was not from Ohio.
And it wasn't I don't think it was a sports transfer thing. I just think it was, his family moved moved him to a different. That's the thing.
I
don't know what the story is.
It's always supposed to be that.
It's supposed to be that. Yeah, but
it's always supposed to be.
I'm getting it all convoluted here. I don't know what the story, but I do know that he did not play his senior year.
Interesting.
Because he transferred too many times. I think moved a lot. His family moved a lot, and it was like, you can't do this anymore.
That'd be darn.
You can't just play at a different school every year.
Well, I could see the HSA doing that.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of people think that if you move, you can play. That's not necessarily the case.
Right.
If you're moving to another school district, there should be reasons beyond.
We have a school that just got docked for this very thing, right? Ironton football down in Southeast Ohio.
Yeah.
Did you say was it this scenario where the kid's family actually had a rental property in Ironton, but even still, was it this particular situation, or was it a different one?
Well, this is one case, and this family actually filed an injunction against the HSA to allow him to play for the season, but they moved from West Virginia to Ironton, and the OHSA.
But they still had a residence in West Virginia.
Well, that's beside the point. Because they moved, and everyone thinks.
But was that the reason they got docked?
I think the reason is because the OHSA investigated and said you didn't move for any other reason.
You just started renting property over here?
Yeah.
You moved just for the reason of playing football?
Right. I think that's what.
And my thought would be, so what? Your rules allow it.
No, that is not true.
So the rules actually state you cannot do this.
Yes, you cannot move just for the purpose of playing sports. And that's why every transfer,
even though it's been happening for years and years and years.
Listen, if you want to get on the wrong side of HSA when we're on air, that's up to you. But I'm gonna
yeah.
No, and I think that's like maybe.
Well, just don't win a state championship and no one will care, right?
Well,
that's another.
Yeah, well, it's not the first one they won.
That's true.
But I think everyone thinks that that's the rule because it seems like that's the rule based on experience. People have just moved or not on my team. Not on my team.
No,
used an address. But see, just because I've been approached that way. Actually, I was approached this year.
Like say, hey, if I want to rent a property in
not even that
Meg's local school district.
My uncle lives in Middleport. I'll just use his address. It don't work that way.
Yeah,
you can't do that because the OHSA will investigate.
Are you admitting dialogue with a player about potentially recruiting?
Well, I am admitting that I steered them away.
There you go.
From that. I steered them away, because you have to prove it. Like you have to prove it. If they've come looking and you aren't able to prove it, that it's going to cause you a lot of problems. You and the school that you're going to. So it's not just a matter of, it's not a loophole. There's no loopholes there's rules.
Yeah.
And you have to check those off. And every transfer is reported to the OHSAA to review in some fashion. So they decide eligibility. Anytime a kid transfers to another school, if they're going to play sports, they have to be ruled eligible by the OHSAA. It's not just a matter of saying, well, he's in this school district now, so he's good. It goes.
Yeah.
And they determine.
So in the situation of the player at Ironton, he was ruled eligible, but then they pulled back and said
he was never ruled eligible. He was ruled ineligible.
Oh,
I think the timing was in question.
Wasn't this the second year he played there? Was this the first year?
I don't think so. I think it was just his first
year. Because they mentioned a couple different. They mentioned
the second year.
Well, they mentioned violations back in like 2017 and then also 2025. There was like a couple different years or a period of time.
But they never
2 periods of time.
The bad thing, what happened with all that is they never ended up releasing that or having to release that because there was a settlement.
Okay.
Right. So
I haven't kept up on it.
I don't think anyone really knows.
Really. Just really sucks for the kids that are playing right now because they had potentially another state-run type of team, and and
which, by the way, they had probably been playing Wheelersburg, who
because Nelsonville York is in that spot right now Friday for a regional championship.
Yeah, good luck to
absolutely. Talking with one of the doctors OU's football team last night is someplace from Nelsonville, York, and he said they're pretty excited about it. He said, no one's given us a chance. He said, I think we have a chance. I said, well, yeah, you always have a chance.
There's always a chance, baby.
Absolutely.
Any given Friday, right?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. How do we get off on that?
Well, individualism, the desire to, but all of that is playing into the same factor. Those are factors that build the mindset of the athletes that we're coaching.
Yes.
And I don't know. I think let me ask you this, just to stay on that topic for a second. Do you think that we're heading toward a day where all of the transfer stuff is getting so complicated, and now that you introduce NIL, that we're going to have, because the first thing to come to college sports was NIL, name, image, likeness. You can make money. And then transfer portal. You can play wherever without any penalty. That's probably coming to high school too.
I think so. I really do.
And then they won't have these rules.
Yeah, I think it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do too.
And then, what's the fallout of that? I don't know. Yeah, I've heard, there's people out there that think that, AAU and travel sports will take the place of high school sports at some point.
Why would you need travel sports?
Well,
if you can build that at your high school.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Maybe the other way around.
I think the argument right now is, why do you need high school sports? Because you have travel.
Yeah.
But you're right. That's a good point.
I mean, it's a lot more prestigious to win a high school championship than it is to win a travel championship. Let's just be honest, because you play them for one every weekend and travel.
Yeah. But that might not be the case.
You can build
if it becomes the monopoly,
the culmination.
There might be a structure put around it that what I mean. Like I don't know, American Legion or something like that, where you build the championships in and you have a schedule. I don't know.
Yeah,
but that's a good point. You're right. Yeah, then that's the thing. Like, if anyone wants to argue that, I would argue that there's it's the value of playing for your high school team. It's just different.
It doesn't compare.
It really doesn't.
Playing for
but maybe that's because we're
the elite express
we
premier.
We come from a different time, and
right.
For us,
maybe you ask a kid, maybe they're like, no, I
know. I guarantee. I know kids that say that.
Yeah, I do too, and I think a lot of that's because they spend so much time with that group of people, and they all have the common goal of the exact same. They all have the same kind of love for that sport, right?
That's what we're talking about.
It's the reason why college baseball is so tight. That's that's your family because of the same reason. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but I think as coaches, we definitely have a lot of challenges now.
Certainly.
And we have to be intentional about what's going through our kids' heads, and just figure out ways to manage each one of those. Just like, well, when if the transfer rules change, or this NIL come, we're going to have to figure out how to maneuver through it. And the alternative is, I'm done.
Yeah,
it's not for me anymore.
And that could be, we have choice. We have that choice to make. Also,
yeah.
But
yeah.
I would like, for me as a personally, I would like to think that I could adjust, and adapt and improve, as if that's a value that I have for myself. But so I don't know. Hopefully, what can we take away from the day?
Stop being so soft.
Stop talking about your feelings. I think I have something here. I've been trying to play something for you.
Yes! Oh, Richard, I'm so happy. Hold me.
Yikes.
Don't run away from your feelings.
What is that?
You know what that's from?
Family Guy?
Tommy Boy. That's Chris Farley, David Spade.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. I was thinking about that clip as we were chatting, thinking about that.
Yeah.
Don't run away from your feelings. Here's the takeaway. Modern athletes aren't soft. They're just different.
What are they? They're people.
In general, right? Yeah, there's some soft ones in there.
Sure.
Let's admit it. There's some soft ones.
There's tough ones.
And there's tough ones.
Yeah.
But in general, it's just different.
Yeah.
It's just different. Different doesn't mean bad. It just means we got to adjust. We got to evolve with them because people are different. We're living in a different world. Mm-hmm. And all of the things that we believe as old school guys still matter, like accountability and discipline and tough coaching still matters. Those kinds of standards that you might have as a coach still matters, but so does the stuff that comes with that seems a little weird to us today.
Yep, you got to get there in a different way.
Yeah.
Maybe. With some kids you do.
Yeah.
But you get it's trickier. It's more challenging, and I think it's a bigger part of the job now than what it was years ago.
Yeah.
So it's less about the game and more about the person,
the relationship, building relationship. Yeah. Yeah.
So good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. So the episode title is, what did we talk about?
I can't remember.
Let's see. Help us come up with a title, folks. The new. Are you tough softness? Soft toughness.
I don't know. Now that I look back,
the new age of tough. Oh, we can't put the word new age in our podcast in the title. So, let's see.
Why? We'll talk about that later.
I don't know.
Something adapt. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have it by next week.
That's right. Hopefully we'll have a guest. we need a guest to pick us up on this episode. So, yeah. Old school toughness colliding with reality.
That's too long.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, well. Don't run away from your feelings. Tommy Boy.
See you, Ron.